All right, we still have some sunlight. I don't want to block it. So, let's talk about the stock market. That's what I look at every day, all day. And the SPY is at 475. The NASDAQ is at all-time highs. The Dow is at all-time highs. The Russell is outpacing it, the small caps. I'm 50-50 cash to stocks right now. I took some risk off profit, and I'm saying to myself, what do I do? And history repeats itself. I've learned my lessons in the past, and I did a whole video on it yesterday. But basically, in 2022, I lost a freaking boatload of money. 2023, I made about a good amount of it back, right? Still down about 6K. Maybe even more. Long story short, I was looking at two exchange trade funds. We have the semiconductor bullish triple ETF, and we have the regular ETF. And basically, on the up and the down, StockXL went from $60 and now it's at $30. So it's cut in half about. And the other one is Todd. So I was trying to articulate intellectually the math of what was going on. And yeah, basically the leveragedness of that scenario allows it to drop lower, kind of like an option contract with the volatility and whatnot. So yeah, so I'm here with the sun saying, what the heck? I got a BULZ ETF, the TECL, the TECL on the bulls. I got a consumer discretionary, I believe it's called WANT, W-A-N-T, ETF, right? So, TNA, IWM, and let's talk about something that's freaking stupid, is Bitcoin. It's at 43K. The Bitcoin ETF is a big craze, and MSTR, the Bitcoin stock, was up like 5% today from 580 to 620. I'm shaking my head. And then the market rolled over again at 2 p.m. I went into these bullish ETFs thinking that I have a 4 to 5K position size on it, and the rest of my portfolio is like very like low risk, like subtle, like one share of every large cap smart name out there. So it's kind of just my beta entry that I have to always be in there. So yeah, I think this market is crazy. I think like I don't know what's happening, and it looks like it's trying to make higher highs, and the fear and greed index is in extreme greed, but I don't know. It looks like it's not forming many pullbacks, and once it does form that pullback, then we're gonna still not know, because it's gonna be at a certain level, and then that's where it's gonna be the decision point. So I'm expecting some type of pullback. We're gonna have low volume going into the new year, apparently. So January seasonality historically is a good month, and the election year is good. So I would like to be bullish on the stock market, and it always is bullish. So, but it's challenging to be holding at such a high level. And yeah, like I watched a big red candle. This thing, Bulls is at 106 a share, and it went all the way to 104. And I have 10 shares of that. So that's a $20 loss within, a couple minutes. And I'm thinking to myself, And then you're looking at that for the other ETFs, and then you're at about $100 loss between the ETFs and your risk-ons. So that's not bad, but it's not great, If you're dropping down to that was only when we were a 0.5% up day to a 0 day, right? So I don't know what it's doing now. It's consolidating the heck out of it. Strange activity, I'll tell you that much. So I'm fascinated with it, and I gotta study and educate and research and risk and diversify, like I said. But the Santa Claus rally sure came this year, and it came roaring, and I participated in a big majority of it, and I'm super thrilled to say I made some profits on all those good old tech names. But what I will say is Nvidia is at 490, and it's got to be 4 times it touched the top of 500. AVGO just had a 200-point run. It's at 1,130-ish, whatever. That thing's been just sideways all week. Apple's top at 200. Microsoft's way overbought at 370. Google's got some running room. Netflix is not really much room. Meta is so bullish too. If we're looking at these names, Amazon and Tesla are some interesting ones. They're kind of, if you're looking at a chart, they have this little middle zone that's kind of in right now. And if you're talking charts like a diamond, kind of a cupping formation, all those weird analogies where it kind of is at an inflection point. But Bitcoin could have a retracement back to 41, and then from there 37, 35, and then 47's the upside, and then it's got a hell of a lot of room to run to 60K. IWM, it's got the 209 big zone, then the 213, and then a lot more running. So we're talking liquidity zones where there's going to be gap fills and traps and dumps and resistance and support zones. Then you're talking so much tremendous upside potential in the market is still with us, and international markets are looking very interesting too. So I'm definitely interested. I look at TradingView and FinViz a lot. Yahoo Finance is helpful, CNBC, and then YouTube obviously for some people. And it's something I'm passionate about, and I want to keep rising up to the occasion. So that is something on my mind that is firing me up. So hopefully this video is still going. And it sure is. So it's going to be super interesting, to say the least, kind of what happens with this market, because it really dictates everyone's lives here in America, where wealth is kind of the one thing that drives our lifestyle, and economy is such an interesting topic because there's so many factors. I'll actually talk about the VIX. So the VIX is the volatility index. That is at all-time lows, and there was a spike on Wednesday, and that resulted in a huge sell-off, the worst day in 2 months. So that was kind of my green light to get out, and there was no follow-through red day. It recovered quickly. The DXY, the dollar, is at lows too. So if it keeps going down, then that is good for the market, but I expect a bounce pretty soon. The 20-plus year Treasury yields is at 4% right now. If it stays under 4%, then that is more of a bullish sign for stocks, because if you look back at the early half of 2023, where a lot of the gains were happening, that's when the yields were lower. So that is a factor too. So if you're looking at all these different variables, then that is definitely going to give us a better informed decision. But allocation is a big question for me in 2024, how I'm going to allocate. And yeah, like bonds and CDs and dividend stocks and value stocks, and of course cash for the sidelines is where I'm going to be parking a lot, and then the heavy tech names and the small caps and the Bitcoin. So if I can formulate a portfolio like that, and of course some international too, mid caps, right? Different sectors, whether bullish, like industrial ones are looking good, right? It's interesting. So I appreciate the listen, and that's my market update.